This section is 1.4 lines. We're going over slope, and we'll go over slope-intercept form, general form, and point slope form. So first of all, if we're just looking right here, given 2 points of a line, you can find the slope using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you're just subtracting your y's over subtracting your x's. So remember, the slope of a horizontal line is y equals b of y equals b. Like, that slope is considered 0. So a horizontal line, slope is considered 0. Slope of a vertical line, like if you have x equals c, like where c is some number, is going to be undefined. Okay, so vertical line is undefined. Horizontal line is going to be 0. Parallel lines are going to have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So for example, if your slope was 2, the perpendicular slope, a negative reciprocal, you would make it negative. The reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. It's like you make that a fraction and you flip it. Okay. All right. So on example 1, we're just simply finding the slope. This is stuff that you did from Math 1. So this is very basic, should be very easy. So remember, if you need to label these, you can. You shouldn't have to, but remember, this is x and y, this is x and y. These are your first set of points. These are your second set of points, okay? So to get our slope, we have 4 minus 3 over negative 4 minus negative 2. And so 4 minus 3 is 1. Negative 4 minus negative 2. The hardest thing in this, not really hard, but just watch your signs. Be careful with your signs. So 4 minus negative 2, remember the double negative here is actually going to turn into a plus. So we get negative 2. So our slope is negative 1/2. All right. So for the next one here, again, if you have to label, you got x, y, first set of points, second set of points. So we have 5 minus 5 over negative 3 minus 7. So we have 0 over negative 10. Be careful with that negative subtraction. So 0 on top, 0 divided by negative 10 is 0. So that is our slope, which also means, we'll just make ourselves a note, which also means this is a horizontal line. Okay, so you may not have to put that, but we'll just make ourselves a note for now. All right, and then the last one on this example, we have negative 3 minus 7 over 5 minus 5. So we get negative 10 over 0. So this one is actually flipped from the other one. So a 0 on the bottom here, you got a 0 on the bottom. You cannot divide by 0. It means this is undefined. This is an undefined slope, and that means this is actually a vertical line. Okay, so let's talk about our different equations of lines. You have slope-intercept form. You have y equals mx plus b. General form, a has to be positive, and you cannot have fractions or decimals, okay? And so basically knows everything over here is on one side. And again, a has to be positive, no fractions or decimals, okay? And then put it in order. You've got x, y in the middle, and then the number, the constant by itself, the number without any variables is going to be at the end. Point slope form, if you're given a point, y here is just literally always going to be y, so you plug this point in here, and then here's your slope. M, of course, is your slope, and then x you plug in here. And so we use point slope form to help us get to general form, because sometimes you may be given a point and a slope, and it may say write it in general form, which is actually going to be the first problem on example 2. So that's why point slope form is helpful, because we can go straight to this and then simplify it. So on our first example here, being that we're given a point and a slope, we're going to put it in point slope form. So here is x and y. This is considered to be x1, y1. So we'll do y minus negative 3 equals m times x minus 1. And so now what we do is we simplify it to general form. So we've got y plus 3 equals 2x minus 2. I distributed my 2. Now remember what I want to do. Remember a, which is the number with x, has to be positive. So in this case, I want to move my y and my 3 over to the right side. So if I move y over, I'm going to keep 2x right here. Y is going to become negative. There's nothing to combine it with. 3, I can subtract it. That's going to give me negative 5. Okay? And so I can put the 0 here, or I can rewrite it and put equals 0 at the end here. And in Canvas, I think I tell you to type it in, put the equals 0 at the end, but it really doesn't matter. They're both general form. Okay, so on the next one. Now, this one, it says it contains the points -1, -3, and 1, 2. So first, what we have to do is we have to figure out what slope is. So I've got 2 minus -3 and -1, or sorry, it should be +1 minus -1. So double negatives are going to turn into positives right there. So I get 5/6 for my slope. Oh, not 6. Why in the world did I say that? 5/2 is my slope. So now I've got a slope and I've got a point. It doesn't matter which point you use. We can use 1, -3, or we can use 1, 2. We will end up with the same answer no matter which one we use. So I'm just going to use this one here. So I have y minus 2 equals 5/2 times x minus 1. So when I distribute, I'll get 5/2x minus 5/2. Now, before I try to start combining, add the 2 to the 5/2, you can go ahead and do that, but one of our rules for general form is that we cannot have fractions. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to clear out fractions. Notice 2 is my denominator, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So this is what you have to do when you have fractions. Look at your denominators, find a number to multiply them by so that the fractions go away. And you do have to multiply everything. You can't just multiply the fractions. So now we'll get 2y minus 4, because remember, this is going to everything, not just the fractions. And then 2 times 5/2, well, my 2's cancel, and I'll get 5x. And 2 times -5/2 will be a -5, okay? So my 5x is positive. So since it's positive, I'm going to leave it on the right side. And if I move my 2y, it's going to become negative because it's changing signs. And I'm going to add my 4, so that gives me a -1. So I have 5x minus 2y minus 1 equals 0. Okay. So then for this one, it tells me that my slope is -2 and my y-intercept is 5. Well, it gives me slope and y-intercept, so I can enter this in slope-intercept form, okay? Because I've got -2x plus 5, because b is 5. And now I just need to put this in general form. Well, being that my x here, or my a, is negative, I want to move it over to the left side this time. So if I move it over here, it's going to be a 2x plus y, and I also need to move the 5 over there as well, so that becomes a -5. Okay? Now, this one is telling me that my x-intercept is -2 and my y-intercept is 3. So what that means, think about what that means. If my x-intercept is 2, that means that my point is -2, 0. If my y-intercept is 3, that means my point is 0, -3. Now this problem looks similar to B. So I can figure out what my slope is. 3 minus 0 over 0 minus -2. So I get 3/2 for my slope. And now I can just pick a point, either one, to plug into point slope form. So I'm going to do this one. So y minus 0 equals 3/2 times x. That's going to be x minus -2. X minus -2, which we know the double negatives are going to turn to a plus right there. So now if I do that, or y minus 0 is just going to be y. If I distribute 3 over 2x, 3 over 2 times 2, the 2's are going to cancel, and I'm left with 3. So then what I can do is I see that I have a fraction. I can multiply everything. There's a 2 right there in my denominator. I've got to get rid of it because it says a cannot have fractions. So multiply everything by 2. So I'll get 2y. 2's cancel out. I get 3x plus 6. And so now I'm ready to move everything to one side. And it doesn't matter. I could have actually done this step. I could have reversed these 2 steps that I'm getting ready to do. This is positive, so I'm going to leave it over here. So 3x minus 2y, because it changed sides, plus 6 equals 0. And if I want to, I can rewrite it with the 0 over here. Okay, so on E, this time it tells me that my slope is undefined. Well, remember, when my slope is undefined, that means we have a vertical line. And if it's a vertical line, then that means we have x equals something. So we have x equals 5 because that's our value. So we just need to get everything on one side. I move my 5 over, so x minus 5 equals 0. For F, it's parallel to y equals 3x minus 1. Well, this is my slope, and it contains 2 1s. So you got to be able to pick out your slope in certain equations. So if I plug into my point slope form, I can do y minus 1 equals 3 times x minus 2, and I'll simplify. So 3x minus 6. And since this is positive, I'm going to move everything over to the right side. So I have 3x. My y becomes negative. I'm going to add the 1, which gives me negative 5. So I'm actually just going to erase this equals here and put equals 0 on this end. All right, for G, now it says parallel to this 2x plus y minus 4. Now, it's not in slope-intercept form, so I can't just say that my slope is 2. So I need to take this, and I need to put it in a form where I can easily pick out slope. So if I've got y, and if I move my 4 and my 2x to the other side, it will be negative 2x plus 4. Now it's in slope-intercept form, so now I know that negative 2 is my slope. So be careful when it gives you certain equations. So I have y minus negative 4 equals negative 2 times x minus 0. So that's going to be y plus 4 equals negative 2x. And, of course, negative 2 times 0 is 0. Well, I definitely want to move this to the left side this time because it is negative and I want it to be positive, which means the y and the 4 are going to stay positive. All right, so if it's parallel to x equals 2, then this means it is a vertical line. And if it's parallel, we want it to have the same slope. So we need another x equals, well, x is negative 1. And if I move 1 to the other side, then it becomes positive. All right, so now if it's perpendicular, this is my slope. So my slope is 2. My perpendicular slope is the negative reciprocal. So that will be negative 1/2. So if I have y minus 1 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 1. If I distribute my 1/2, I'll get negative 1/2 x plus 1/2, because negative 1/2 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 1/2. So here my denominators are 2. So I'm going to multiply everything through by 2 to get rid of those fractions. So I have 2y minus 2 equals negative x plus 1. And so I want to move my x to the other side, so it would be positive. So x plus 2y, and I'm going to subtract the 1 because I'm also moving it, so minus 3 equals 0. All right, if it's perpendicular to x equals 3, well, it's perpendicular. If this one is vertical, then I need a horizontal line. So I need a y equals something. So y equals 4. So if I do y minus 4 equals 0, I just move my 4 over to get it set equal to 0. Okay, so if it's perpendicular to this, so again, it's not in slope-intercept form, so I can't just pick out the slope. So if I've got negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 5, when I move that to the other side, and then I need to divide by negative 3. So y equals a positive 2/3 x minus 5/3. So a perpendicular slope will be negative 3/2 because I flip that fraction, I make it negative. So now if it passes through the point, so y minus 5 equals negative 3/2 times x minus negative 2. So if I distribute negative 3/2x, so that becomes a plus, and so minus 3. I'm going to multiply everything here by 2. So I'll get 2y minus 10 equals negative 3x minus 6. And then I want to move this to the right side, so it'll be 3x plus 2y. I'm going to add my 6. And then minus 4 equals 0. And that will conclude this section.